So I'm back here to continue off what I was talking about, but I want to remind people that Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio, I truly believe, put Trump up to this. I would not doubt it. Because they wanted a war with Iran. They were all for it. And if you look at Marco Rubio's history, especially Pete Hegseth has always been pro-war. He was a big right-wing propagandist on Fox News. You know, him is just simply his ego and chest-pumping attitude. You know, you see the character of Pete Hegseth. I don't know if he's got this little man syndrome issue or whatever. You can clearly see it, but you know, him and his Nazi tattoos and his womanizing behavior and every disgusting, lawful character you could expect out of a pro-corporate, pro-cis, bigoted white man. Not shocking. But now, Marco Rubio, let's be honest. Marco Rubio, if you look at his history, he's always been part of the uniparty system. He is a pro-corporate, neocon conservative. He's a neoconservative, neocon. He's basically the worst version of a neoliberal. He's more of a neoconservative. He's a complete war hawk. Marco Rubio's had a history of being pro-interventionist. He's very pro-war. He's everything that grassroots conservatives claim they're tired of. But for some reason, he's latching onto the cult of MAGA. So he's winning over these conservatives now that suddenly aren't pro-war anymore, aren't anti-war anymore because Trump's for war. This is what I mean by a cult. When the cult moves with the leader instead of the leader moving with the cult. So what you're seeing now is the people that claim they were against all these things under past presidents are totally okay with it now because it's happening under Donald Trump. That's when you know a cult's gone too far, because they don't truly have principles. They're going to follow their cult leader all the way to the end, even if he does stuff to directly make their life worse. You know, and I've said this before, Donald Trump had the gift of being Teflon, because people would choose to believe what they wanted to believe about Donald Trump, where other politicians, people would not give them the same pass. You've seen this time and time again. Usually one scandal will sink a presidential campaign with anybody else, or a congressional campaign, or any other election. But for Trump, he always gets through it. I think now that he's had 3 runs, though, and he's had his time, and now he's technically a lame duck president, I think that's kind of fading now. People are over him and done now at this point, except for his cult, of course. But everybody else is. And here's the thing. Marco Rubio was a big part of what led Trump to go to war with Iran. All right. Again, he's a neoconservative. All right. He's going to try to take the mantle of what Donald Trump is representing right now, so he can run for president and get elected. He is going to likely be the front seat runner here, the driver in the seat. It isn't going to be J.D. Vance. And matter of fact, stories are coming out saying J.D. Vance is contemplating not running at all because he don't think he can win. He's saying it out loud. He don't think he can win. All right, and I actually agree with him on that. I don't think he can win. But I don't think any Republican is going to win with the baggage of Trump. Not with the disastrous stuff he's doing to this country right now. Sure as heck now, not for sure. And I don't think it's going to get any better in 2028, by the way. So I'm saying now because anything could change, but it's not likely going to. It's going to get worse. And as a result, people are going to get angry and revolt against the party in power. So it's already starting to happen right now. People are done with Trump. People are over Donald Trump at this point. But except for the far-right cult in his party. And of course, the corporate oligarchs and donor class have benefited off his disaster. Basically handing our government away to billionaires. But J.D. Vance is not going to be the candidate. I can already tell you that right now. It's not going to be J.D. Vance. It's not going to be J.D. Vance versus Gavin Newsom. I know everybody's trying to call these elections so early on. I'm going to tell you straight out, it's not going to be that. That's not going to be the situation. That is not going to be the case. It's not going to be J.D. Vance versus Gavin Newsom. These elections are going to be so unpredictable going into 2028. And even funny. We got to make it through 2026 first, but I'm just giving you a forecast of what's likely going to happen in 2028. Right now, 2028 don't matter to me that much, though, because we got to worry about 2026 right now. But what I will say about 2028 is Marco Rubio will take the mantle of being Trump's successor. Whether he's successful, that's to be determined. But it's not going to be J.D. Vance. And I think I want to remind people of that because he likely will run for president in 2028. And I want to remind people that all this stuff going on, it's all on Marco Rubio now. Since he wants to take the mantle of Donald Trump's, to be Donald Trump's predecessor and get the full grace of Donald Trump, that's good. He's going to own the baggage of Donald Trump. But I want to go further. I want to let you know that it wasn't just him owning the baggage of Donald Trump and embracing that cult. He's brains behind the world war, the world never-ending wars that we're constantly in. He's showing you who he is right now. Not only is he going to bend to the will of MAGA and sell out our democracy further and probably propose to be a more competent version of Donald Trump. Okay. He's pushing that Overton window further than Donald Trump. Because at the end of the day, Donald Trump on his own was not necessarily this pro-war neoconservative. He is by the guidance of the people around him. But remember, when he was going around saying he wanted to end all these wars, that was the appeal that got people to vote for him. They forget that. That's why I think it's laughable that Marco Rubio thinks he's going to have a willy-nilly easy run for president. Good luck, buddy. Because when you run for president, people will remember that you were one of the brains behind going to war with Iran, which raised our prices and screwed our country's domestic production even worse. So I want to remind people, Marco Rubio is likely going to be the predecessor. But remember, Marco Rubio, as Donald Trump's saying out loud, pushed him to bomb Iran. Okay, and I actually believe that. I believe that 112% because they know Trump's reactionary. All right, and I remind people, he is the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. So every foreign policy decision made, it does go through the Secretary of State. It's not just the President. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. It's also made by him too. So it makes sense that Trump's blaming them too, because them two are giving Trump information. So what do you think they're doing? They're telling Donald Trump what they want Trump to believe. Therefore, Trump's going to make the unilateral decision to make the decisions they want Trump to make. Yes, folks, I know it's hard to believe that Donald Trump ain't smart enough to know any of this stuff. Isn't it obvious? Plus, he's 80 years old. He's going through dementia and mental decline. You can see it. The people around him now are technically running the show at this point. And they're showing you who they are. They don't want to put America first. They never did. Matter of fact, to all the people out there that were so critical of the left and were so critical of the neoliberals they hated so much, well, these people have shown you they're going to be the neoconservatives on steroids and far worse than the liberals you thought you hated. You're seeing it right now. Forever wars. Paying more money at the gas pump. Paying more money for your groceries. Paying more money for everything. Flailing economy. Because they don't care about the well-being of this country. They never did. They just wanted power to do whatever the heck they wanted. Now you're witnessing the fruits of that. That's all I want to say, y'all. You have a great day. You have a great night. Love y'all. Goodbye.